I did want to call attention to this because we know that AIPAC is going all in against the squad this year, and looks like they may have successfully picked one of them off. Obviously, the votes are not counted yet. The primary is going to be this summer. But as of right now, Cori Bush is trailing her Democratic primary challenger by 22 points. Latest poll, Representative Cori Bush is trailing her Democratic primary challenger by 22 points in a new poll released Monday. That's yesterday at this recording. The poll, commissioned by the GOP firm Remington Research Group on behalf of the Missouri Scout, was conducted February 7th to 9th. Oh, I apologize. This must have been last week. And included, oh, no. It was released yesterday, but it was conducted 7th to 9th. And included 401 likely 2024 Democratic primary voters. The survey asked respondents for whom they would vote in a hypothetical primary held today if the race were between three candidates listed in the following order: Wesley Bell, the state senator Maria Chappelle Nadal, and Cori Bush, the incumbent. The question did not indicate which candidate was the incumbent. Half of the respondents said Bell, 28% said Bush, and 4% said Nadal. 18% said they were not sure. So 50 to 28, Bush losing. Bell leads Bush in most demographic breakdowns as well. Among African-American respondents, 43% support Bell, 35% for Bush, and 20% undecided. Bell wins the white respondents by a greater margin, 60% to 20% of white respondents who say they support Bush. The serious threat to Bush's reelection campaign comes as primary challenges, to Democratic critics of Israel have arisen in districts throughout the country. Bush has been vocal in support of Palestinians and has been critical of Israel since the war began in October 2023 between Israel and Hamas, the U.S.-designated terrorist organization that governs the Gaza Strip. The poll also surveyed the likely Democratic voters' views on the war in the Middle East, asking whether respondents are more sympathetic to the Israelis or to the Palestinians. This is quite the pathetic number from a supposedly progressive district. A plurality of respondents, 44% said not sure, 35% said they were more sympathetic to the Israelis, and only 21% said they were more sympathetic to the Palestinians. What I tell you, folks, Democratic voters, not too bright. This is the least reliable cohort in the country. This is why you give up on the party. Bush's campaign team did not respond to a request for comment from the Hill. The survey had a margin of error of 4.9 percentage points. Of course, Stop Anti-Semitism, the smear merchants here, we're very happy about this. Great news. Our anti-Semite of the week and squad member Cori Bush appears to be losing by 22 points in a new Democratic primary poll to opponent Wesley Bell. Let's take a peek at Bush's anti-Semitic voting record. Then they go on and list that. We don't have to read that. Here is Wesley Bell. St. Louis stands with Israel. Here's the guy who's going to probably at this point defeat Cori Bush in this Democratic primary. Now, the thing is, Wesley Bell had been running in the Democratic Senate primary to challenge Josh Hawley, the incumbent Republican senator, in a race he would almost certainly lose since Missouri is a solid red state. And so, well into that campaign, he was persuaded to abandon that effort and instead primary Cori Bush in her congressional district, where he was told he had a good chance to win, and apparently he does. But here's Wesley Bell fielding a question at a press conference. This is the same press conference in which he made official that he was switching from Senate candidate to congressional candidate. Here he is when asked about United States support for Israel.
With the Israeli military's airstrikes and invasion of Gaza, or would you condition aid to Israel on them altering their behavior?
I think we have to stand with our allies, and
typical
Israel's
talking
always
point.
been an ally, but we always want to keep the door open for a two-state solution. But there has to be. But we
this is just absolute hackery.
We cannot give aid and comfort to terrorist organizations, and Hamas is a terrorist organization, and Israel has the right to defend themselves. And as someone, and I'll tell you, I was in Israel in 2017.
Oh yeah, how much they pay you?
the president at the time announced that he was moving the
Watch how he
Capital.
trips over this.
Capital.
the diplomat
Embassy.
the embassy. I'm sorry.
Embassy.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
And I was at a kibbutz, and when we were talking to someone who lived in the kibbutz, the group that I was with, and they showed us the bomb shelters, and they said, when those bomb sirens go off, you have to drop everything you're doing, and you have 10 seconds to get 10, 12, whatever the number was, about 10 seconds to get in the bomb shelter. We saw that. We saw them. We wanted to stay, but our guide told us we needed to leave. There was other things to do, and so as we were leaving, about 45 minutes to an hour later, those sirens went off. And
And
had
what
we
happened?
still been there, we would have been scrambling into the bomb shelter. Now, fortunately, the Iron Dome deflected them, so we would not have been in harm's way.
Right, the Iron Dome caught them. See, in
but
Gaza,
with
they don't
that
have an
said-
Iron Dome. When Israel
No.
drops their bombs on Gaza, they explode and blow the hands and feet off of 3, 4, and 5-year-old kids.
Or is it at a little girl's in a car and her cousin's trying to call first responders, and yet they fire 50 cal or other heavy machine gun weaponry in there, and then a tank rolls it over, and then the first responders who get there is blown up by an Israeli tank. So I mean, it's like this guy Wesley Bell. I mean, boy, oh boy, you really are a caring human being. We're what, at 28,000 dead civilians, going on now to 30,000,
Yep.
and he's not going to bat an eye. But hey, at least according to him, the door has to be open for a two-state solution.
Oh, he says
We
that
have that.
again. He
Yeah.
says that again. Here, I'll let this finish. He makes sure to hit that note
When
again.
you are living under the constant threat of Hamas, Hezbollah firing rockets, and Israel's a very small place. I think it's misguided to not understand how complex this situation is. But we must stand with our allies. But then we still want to find a peaceful resolution and leave the door open for a two-state solution. But we have to address these issues on the ground.
You see there a guy with just no real mastery or knowledge of the issue whatsoever. Took him forever to come up with the word embassy, right? That was just an audition tape. That was an audition tape for AIPAC. He was switching his race from a race he couldn't possibly win. No Democrat's going to beat Josh Hawley in this environment in this year, in the statewide race, to a race that he knew he could win, especially if he got that sweet Israel lobby money. And sure enough, he did. Notable development in St.
wow.
Louis. AIPAC's Political Action Committee has endorsed Wesley Bell, a Democratic challenger to Representative Cori Bush, according to its online political portal. Statement from AIPAC spokesperson Marshall Whitman: "We proudly endorse Wesley Bell, who is a strong advocate for the U.S.-Israel relationship, in clear contrast to his opponent, who represents the extremist anti-Israel fringe." Now, our friend Nick Cruz tweeted out that he hopes all these quote-unquote NATO leftists lose, and I sympathize with that. You know, as much as this Wesley Bell guy is just nothing but just a bought and paid for whore, much in the vein of a Richie Torres type. What has Cori Bush really done to make us feel like we should spend time and resources going to bat for her?
None.
Yeah.
In that article, you read like 400 Democrats were polled and asked these questions. Okay, those are Democrat voters, and Democrat voters are vote blue no matter who people, and they're probably most likely did not vote for Cori Bush. Who put Cori Bush into power? It was progressives and independents. It was activists. It was organizers. That big coalition that everyone was hyping up about. That coalition now that is forever fractured and possibly will never be mended ever again. And so what incentive does her old coalition have to support her when all she's been doing has been following the Democratic machine? She wrote a fantastic book, apparently, that she was selling out. Like, first of all, you're writing a book and you've been in office for what? How long? Almost 2 years?
Yeah, she came out with that pretty quickly, yeah.
What are you writing about? I mean, you're right now. You have to build at least an idea of, okay, hey, I've been in office for like maybe 2 terms or 3 terms or something of that nature. Give people a reason to support you. And what did the Democratic establishment do, especially the progressives who are part of Congressional Progressive Caucus? They never followed through with holding Biden's feet to the fire. They told us that we had to be polite, that we had to be pragmatic. So, of course, most of her diehard supporters are saying, F you, I'm not going to vote at all. And they should be feeling this way. So on the one hand, that other dude, Bell, is a complete jagoff. But on the other hand, Cori Bush, world's smallest violin playing here, you did this to your coalition. You broke apart. You didn't challenge Biden or Nancy or anyone else in Washington, D.C. You didn't take that initiative. And by not taking that initiative, your core base abandoned you. Your people left you. And those numbers are pretty downright pathetic. So if she loses, fine, she lost. Am I going to cry? No, and neither should any other progressive or independent, because she is part of that Democratic machine, just like Bell's going to be part of that Democratic machine. The only difference is that she says she cares about Israel and Palestine and the crisis that's happening in Gaza. But if she really did, she would have been laying more into it. She would be actually challenging the leadership, but she's not doing that.
Yeah, this is what Shama Sawant said, because when she was being recalled, a lot of people asked her, well, why are you such a ball buster? If you were just a little easier to work with, they wouldn't be recalling you. And she said, no, they'd be recalling me anyway because I'm not one of them and they don't like me. If I play ball, the difference is that when they come after me, I lose because my base doesn't believe in me anymore, right?
That's right.
She said the reason she beat the recall is because she is the real deal and her base did have her back. So when the Democrats came for her, what happened? Her base got behind her and she won. The same thing would have happened to Cori Bush if she had actually represented the people who sent her there. But whether it's her or AOC, or Jamal Bowman, who could very well lose his primary as well. That's a tough district for an anti-mass murder candidate to win, Westchester County. And so he could very well lose too.
Well, there's also something else, and I can't believe I forgot it. There's so much happening that there are things I do forget, but never forget remember when AOC and Cori Bush did that little video saying that they had to run to stop Nancy adjourning Congress because, they were going to go on vacation, but if they didn't stop them in time, that Americans were at risk of being kicked out of their apartments and homes, and they did their little protest at the Capitol building.
Yeah, that was the eviction moratorium.
Yeah, the eviction moratorium, and as soon as they got their quote-unquote victory, they said, let's celebrate, but no, Colin Radix Carter and a few other people were there saying, no, we haven't won yet. The people are still going to be evicted from their homes. People are still going to be kicked out. And yet Cori Bush and AOC said, let's play the music. Let's play. Well, hey, Cori, the music is starting to stop, and you're about to hold the biggest amount of excrement in your political career, which is going to cost you your seat. So good luck, Cori. You'll need it.
Please clap.